All right. You guys hear me? Who we got in chat? Let me see who we got in the chat. Neela. Hi, Neela. How was Truth or you did Truth or Drink last night, right? That's Dungeon Glitch. Good to see ya. I got my new PC and stuff all in, but I gotta like set up all Twitch Studio and all that stuff. So the old setup. And wow, we're at 71 followers. That is incredible. Amazing. Y'all are great. Wait just a little, like another minute or so. We had a lot of interest. I know not everybody is available all the time, but a hoot. How's everyone's day going? Saturday. I got up early today to do. I have an online Korean class that I've been taking. Today was the second class, and learned some more basics. I went for a run, ate some food, and now I'm ready to go. I bet some of the stream team will be on stuff tonight. I've got D&D tonight, which is always exciting. And yeah, okay. I'm gonna get started with a little intro, just so I don't waste anybody's time. I want to reward people who came and are ready to go. Yeah, it's pretty good. I'm Lex. I run the TTRPG Twitter account. This is the channel where we will be hosting the show once that's ready. For now, I've been doing some talks. I'm going to do some variety streaming. I just got a new PC, so we'll do some games. I was thinking about streaming Transistor or Hollow Knight, some games like that. Maybe even buy Hades again on the computer or something like that, because that game is very fun. But today, I wanted to offer some expertise to the TTRPG community. Andrew, good to see you. And provide some of my own expertise that I have from my day job, which is I am a copywriter for a financial publishing company. We sell very expensive investment subscriptions to retail investors. That can go in, our intro product is like $49 a year, and then it can go up to like $2,000 a year. We have a lifetime thing that's like almost $10,000, but then you get everything forever. We do a lot of that stuff, and we're one of the bigger names in the space, actually, or at least our parent company is. If any of you have ever been to Traffic and Conversion, that's a big digital marketing conference. We are one of the main sponsors sometimes. Like our company's name is like up on one of the auditoriums, and I personally myself have quite a bit of sales under my belt in the millions. So I wanted to offer some of that expertise to you guys today. Especially today is self-promo Saturday in the TTRPG community. So we're going to go over basic principles first, then some sort of concrete steps that you can take, free and paid. I just want you guys to know I'm not a social media manager, so I'm not as familiar with how to buy media on social media, although I'll go over the like basics. I'm not primarily a marketer, I'm primarily a copywriter. But these principles will help you craft your posts, and when you go and like make announcements or whatever it is, like general strategies, this will be very helpful. This is like a very introductory kind of crash course thing. So general principles of digital marketing, or just promotions in general, or if we want to do like very basic, like persuasion in general, right? Persuasion, at least on the internet, is what you're trying to get people to do when you get, put out some content. You want people to come check it out, right? Like you're trying to persuade them to give your stuff a shot because there's just so much stuff out there, and so you need to actively persuade them to check your stuff out. There's a very powerful trick that we use in our headlines and our copy, and it's called the 4 U's. 4 U's. You'll want to write this down probably. The first U is unique. Second one is useful. Third is urgent. And fourth is ultra specific. So these are the qualities that you need in most of your announcements, your copy, your whatever you're putting out that you're using to drive people to your product or project. So unique. Let's go over unique, right? So a lot of you have probably hopped on some self promo posts and put your little blurb down there. What you want in that blurb is not just a general summary of what you guys do, but what makes you guys or your thing unique over everyone else's. Because your stuff, by nature of being from you and your group, unique group, is going to be different from everyone else's. It might be hard to refine that messaging, but that's something that you should definitely try to do. So I've tried a couple different ways on those promo posts. I started just saying, like, we've got this show coming out that's going to be post-magic apocalypse on the backs of wandering titans in a flooded world. Then I started adding other things like, we're making friends, we're coming up with weird builds for characters, we are giving away free homebrew. Try to be specific as possible, which is something we'll get to after that in a moment. But you want to make sure that you, like, if you read your description and it could describe a multitude of podcasts or shows or dice even, then that's something that you need to correct. It has to be unique, or else there's no reason for someone to stop what they're doing and click through to your thing. Always think about it from your own perspective, right? Like, I see so much stuff on the internet every single day, just constant stuff, and I'm scrolling super fast. I'm going, light speed. And for something to stop me in that has to be pretty unique and pretty spectacular, right? Like, think of it, if you had no idea what your podcast was about or your stream was about, would you stop and read this description if you see someone, if you wrote yours? The second one, I would say this is probably the most important one. I'm only doing it second because that's the second one I wrote down in my notes. Useful. Useful is top priority because you have to be offering a benefit to the person you're talking to, right? If this is not going to benefit them in any way, they're not going to stop and check you out. And so, if you're just putting out stuff because you like putting out stuff, that's fine. I don't think anybody needs to be good at digital marketing or needs to be good at self-promotion. But if you want to reach more people, generally speaking, you want to provide something useful to them because there's only so many hours in the day. Everybody's super busy. Everybody's reading 10 tweets a second, and there's just not enough time to be, going through everybody's content, right? Like, I've only seen a few people's streams, and I've been, making a lot of friends in TTRPG, but I've only been able to stop by a few streams, and I chose, at random maybe, or based on the description that someone gave to me of their project. So you really want to think about your, we call it a USP, unique selling proposition. What is your USP? So regardless of what you're offering, if it's just you as a personality on Twitch, if it's your new RPG game, if it's your whatever it is that you're offering, you need to think about what makes this unique and beneficial to the people, to your audience, right? So the unique selling proposition, and you got to come up with this for yourself, is what are you offering and how does it solve that person's problem? One of the most tried and true, effective, classic techniques or strategies in digital marketing is problem solution. So if you want to reach more people, and I just want to be clear, none of this is necessary for having a good time and having like a fun stream and all this stuff. But if your aim is to promote yourself and to grow, these are going to be general techniques that will help. So think of your product or project as a solution to a problem that someone has. How does your vision directly solve that problem? I'll give an example. Neela's in the chat. Neela has a great stream. Absolutely follow her. I mean, she's way bigger than me, but still go follow her. She's great. We have a lot of fun in the chat. I'm in the chat all the time. Neela's kind of stated goal is to build community and like kind of connect people during the pandemic. So like the problem, of course, is we're all staying inside. We have nowhere to go, and a lot of us are feeling very lonely. And so the problem is loneliness or disconnection. And then her solution is the stream. You come and hang out in the stream. You will feel like a part of a group who's having a good time. She does interviews of other people on the internet, and sometimes does just wild shit. I mean, always does wild shit, if I'm being honest. There's like truth or drink streams happen very often. Would you rathers, all sorts of stuff. Covers of or song associations, super fun time. But you can see like directly, and you'll see in her Twitch bio, like building community is the goal of the stream. And so everything she does is to accomplish that goal with the purpose of solving the problem of loneliness in a pretty dark time in history, right? So I know that's maybe not as clear the connection if you have like a story-based project, but I'll tell you this, my stream that I want to do for this channel, the Titanomachy campaign, I'm aiming to give it like an intimate tone. Like I want it to feel very personal and quiet, but also still have stakes, of course. I want it to have the feel of like a Ghibli movie, but even like not even like the epic ones, but like, you know, Kiki's Delivery Service level. So what's my, you know, solution here? Why do I want to offer that? Like that's a question you can ask yourself. What do I want to offer? Why do I want to offer that? And so for me, the answer to why is I also want people to feel like they're part of our little group and that they can come to our stream and listen to our story and even maybe participate in the story and like just have a moment to breathe. You know, how like it just feels like all the time there's always stuff happening and you just don't have a moment to yourself and like you got to go do this and that and like a lot of your friends are streaming, so you're going to go hang out there, which is great, but also like can be tiring. Excuse me. And I think I want our stream to be like, you're going to be watching D&D for sure, like you like, but also it'll be very quiet and meaningful, intimate, and personal. And so what problem am I solving with that is also another kind of problem, almost a same problem that Neela's stream is aiming to solve, which is, you know, loneliness in certain communities, online communities, and bringing those people into your little family. So you got to think about like what's the problem you want to solve, and how is your project a unique solution to that problem, right? Because there might be a bunch of people trying to solve the same problem, and they are all going to take a different way. But as long as you know what your unique way is and are very cognizant of that as you're writing promotional posts and you know, connecting with other people in the community, finding your voice, exactly, Dungeon Glitch. You want to make sure you find your voice, and the way you do that is by really really honing in on how your project uniquely solves the problem. And that's what your voice is how you uniquely, what is something you are able to do that you're doing that no one else is doing or no one else is capable of doing. And it might seem like not much because there's a lot of people in the community making podcasts and making Twitch streams and, you know, shows and stuff. But for example, you know, like I want to do a show, but before then, we're still getting ready. I've been putting out cool homebrew subclasses that nobody else has ever made. I'm doing streams on like what good writing is and digital marketing and self-promo, because that's my skill set. And maybe other people have that skill set too. I think Chaotic Stupid also has some marketing experience, but we're both gonna approach it in a different way, right? So that's the second U, useful. I think as long as you keep the benefit in mind, like what is the benefit to someone stopping and checking my thing out? That's going to be just game changing for your stuff for sure. Like, don't just say like this is what my thing is, but like how is it going to make you feel? How is it going to make your life better? How is it going to make you happy? The third one is urgent. This one is not quite as applicable to a lot of what we do, but if you can find a way to make someone act now instead of acting later, then your chances of getting them to check your stuff out is absolutely going to skyrocket. Because think about it this way. How many times do you like check an email and you're like, I'll get to this later, and you leave, and when do you get to it? Never. You never fucking get back to it. You forget all about it, and then 3 weeks later, you're like, oh, I was supposed to do that thing. I was going to check out that email, and now it's too late. So if you lose the person at that point, you've lost them forever. Don't think of it like you have a second chance. Think about it like this. For example, if you're going to have a sale like on your product, that's going to be you got to make sure that they know there's a deadline for the sale. And if they don't act now, they're going to miss out entirely. That's sort of like a lot of what we do in general digital marketing. But if you're going to have a really unique stream that is not going to be like the experience is not going to be able to be replicated if you watch the VOD, like you want to make sure that that is also the case. For example, I went to the Role Players Guild stream the other day and they were naming their dice sets, and I got to like sit in the chat and help them name their dice, and it was really fun. And if I were to watch the VOD, like I wouldn't have that input in the actual stream. So you want to like harp on those like urgency notes. And then the fourth U is ultra specificity. You want to be ultra specific in your writing. So ultra specific meaning it sort of goes with unique, but you want to like think of an example. You want to make sure that whatever numbers or figures you're using as specific things as possible. What is unique about your thing? It's got to be you got to really hone it. It's got to be very sharp. For example, in the financial space, when we are projecting stock gains, we use very specific numbers. We find the most specific numbers that we can. So it'll be like, we're predicting that you'll make 431% in 8 months on this play. See what I mean? So if you're able to find really specific things that are going to stick out and be really, really unique, that's a way to also improve your promotional capabilities. So that's the 4 U's. Those are going to help you in everything. They're kind of just general guiding principles, and I use them myself and everything. All my coworkers use it. Everyone in our industry pretty much uses it. So I'm going to move on to something a little more specific as far as like what kind of language you want to use in your copy and your promotional materials. We always say to use a lot of you language. Speak directly to your audience. Don't think about them as all the people that follow you. Think of it as one person and write to them. You want to come and check out the stream. I'm going to be doing this, and I'm doing this just for you, and you don't want to miss it. If any of you have followed my toxicology letter project, I use that technique in there. I think about one person, and I write in the second person, I write to you, even though there's 1,000 people reading the email, but I make sure I'm pretending that I'm writing to you personally. And that makes a big difference, I think. It's not a lot of we or like you guys or y'all, it's you. And so, maybe it's not always appropriate in our corners of the internet, but it's generally a good idea to think of one person and write to them, like, and thank you, Neela, and really go and talk to them. Imagine you're sitting across the bar from them or on the phone with them, and you're speaking directly to them. In addition to that, combined with the you language, you want to combine what we call, and you've probably heard this term before, a call to action, right? And the call to action is the specific thing you want them to do after reading your post. Check out my stream right now, or click this link and follow me at twitch.tv/LXKBW. That's a call to action. You want to tell people exactly what to do. And I know nobody likes being told what to do, but in copy, there should be no question in their minds of what they're supposed to do with the information you've given them. Right? It's like, all right, we're doing this stream and we're getting ready to go. And if that's it, then okay, that's cool. But like, what do you want me to do about that? And so I haven't done this in all my posts, but if you look at all of my TTRPG solidarity posts or self promo posts, I try to do come hang out, follow, download this thing. You use a verb. The call to action starts with a verb always, and you can't go wrong with a click this link to do XYZ. Click this link to join our stream and have the best time of your life. Right? You want it to be strong and precise. Otherwise, I'm just going to click out and go do whatever else I was going to do on the internet. You know what I mean? You want it to be just extremely, extremely specific. And so, especially if you're selling something, you have to have this and not do without this. If you're just promoting general streams or whatever, you still want to have this, but if you're selling something, you absolutely need click here to get 30% off your next set of dice. Click here to do this or that. You really want to be telling people exactly what to do. Following that, this is sort of a personal philosophy, but also in any sort of interaction that you have with people and other creators in the space, you want to strike while the iron's hot. So if you've had a conversation with someone about doing a collab, or if you've just introduced yourself to someone and you've just made a new friend in the community, and you're talking about stuff, make a plan to do something with them as soon as possible, something specific and soon. So trying to think of for example, when I was had 0 followers on my Titanomachy Twitter, and then we had that big post blow up with TTRPG Solidarity. I followed a bunch of people, and then as I was introducing myself, I made a point to show up to a couple of streams, and now for example, the Role Players Guild, I hang out with them, we know who each other are, and the other people who I didn't follow up with, it's still kind of blurry sometimes, because there's so many people you're meeting, which is great. We're all following each other and lifting each other up, but I don't know everybody personally. Same thing goes for Authenticity Trip, who's making that new RPG Travel Not Advised. I showed up to their Discord and joined a session 0 for their testing phase because we had been talking a little bit, and now we know each other, and we're okay, that's that person in the community. This is who they are. This is what they do. Everything, I know this is not our jobs, so if you need to take a break, take a break. But if you have the emotional wherewithal, you'll want to take every opportunity to push forward. If there's someone in the community you want to work with, that's another thing. Another principle is don't be afraid to initiate. This is how I live my life personally, but also in business and in digital marketing and promotion, self-promotion. put yourself out there. It can't go wrong unless you're being really, really obnoxious, you know? But if you think of it as you are solving a problem, like we talked about earlier, promoting yourself is about offering your solution to other people. And so if you don't have to be obnoxious about it, you can just be like, here, this is a thing that I'm working on that I think will help you. Think about like the map makers in the TTRPG space. They they can promote all they want because they're giving away maps that we can all use for our games, and nobody gets mad at them for over promoting their maps. That would be silly, right? Like, they are solving a problem for DMs and GMs by releasing maps that we can use for our games. So whatever your solution is, you can promote it in that way, and it won't be super obnoxious. But you do need to take a lot of initiative and move forward and go for it, and really. My boss says this all the time, and I also believe that no one's going to care more about your project than you are, or than you do, you know. So it's up to you to push it out, and if you really believe in what you've got going on, go ahead and get it out there. You know, really, you don't be as afraid. You know, I think a lot of people are afraid of being obnoxious or being perceived as annoying or whatever. Good thing about online is if someone thinks you're annoying, you don't have to ever see them ever. You can just keep putting yourself out. And if they are mean to you because they think you're annoying, you can just block them. It's like way easier than in real life. Obviously, like if you go to a cocktail party, you don't want to be promoting your stuff in every conversation because that's just obnoxious. But in the spaces that we run in, everybody's trying to help each other grow and be the best that they can be. So don't be afraid to just like drop in and, you know, read the room, of course. If someone's like, here's my project that I'm really proud of, don't comment under it with like, oh, mine's actually better, check this out. Like, obviously don't do that. But you want to strike while the iron's hot, and you want to take as many opportunities as is appropriate and that you're comfortable with. You want to be proactive. If you want to like do a giveaway with someone that you've never talked to before, just send them a DM. The worst that they can do is either not answer or say fuck you, which, okay, cool, next thing, right? Thank you, next. That's how I did my first giveaway with Modern Artifice. I just messaged them. I was like, hey, do you want to do a giveaway? I'll pay you for a set of dice, and we'll give away a set of dice, or I'll pay for whatever store credit. And they're like, yeah, let's do it. It's that easy. There's like, if you don't know how to do something, or you think you don't know how to do something, either look it up or just do what you think is maybe the best course of action. Like, I was like, oh, I've never done a Twitter giveaway. I'll just message. First of all, I put out a tweet. I was like, hey, is there any small dice makers that you guys love that I can partner with for a giveaway? And I got a bunch of answers, and they were all recommending Modern Artifice. I was like, okay, I'll message them, and boom, right there. And we had a great giveaway. Gave away $30 in store credit to their shop, and gained a ton of followers. So, you know, don't be afraid to put yourself out there, because if you don't, nobody else is really going to. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about numbers and like self-esteem in the creator space. It's easy to like lament not growing as fast as you want, or nobody checked out your thing, or like, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, I've definitely felt that way. But what you need to realize is in the digital marketing space, which technically we all kind of are, even if we're not selling anything, we're still asking for someone to do something for us, which is to follow us or check us out, whatever it is. In the digital marketing space, if you can get 1%, 2% of people that see your thing to check it out and to buy it, like, that's incredible. That is very good. 3% is like, all right, we got to get this thing out there. We got to get everybody, you know, we're going to spend as much money as we can to like get this out there. 3%. So if you put out something and you have 100 followers, and, or let's say 100 people see your promotional post, because not everybody sees everything, but 100 people see your promotional post and 3 people check it out, that's very good. Like 3 people went and listened to your podcast after seeing that, very good. So don't beat yourself up if like the numbers aren't really what you expect, because it's actually all about those three people, which brings us to the next thing. You don't have to be everybody's cup of tea. You don't need to have a broad audience unless that's what you're aiming for. But you don't need everybody to be into what you're offering, right? You just need the small percentage of people that are really gonna love what you have to offer. It's a little bit like dating, I would say. At least now that I'm 28, so gotten to that point where I'm like, all right, I don't need everybody to like me. That's just exhausting, and most people, I don't want to date them, you know. So you be exactly who you are, and don't try to please everybody, and be you, and go for the people that are really going to enjoy your stuff. Right? I don't need, like, I'm doing a D&D Twitch show. I don't need to go and change my stream to appeal to sports Twitter or whatever, right? Like, I know Neela is part of Blazer's Twitter, so shout out to Neela for, enjoying my stream and stuff. But in general, I'm not going to change my campaign to be like a basketball campaign to get those people in, because that's just not, I know that's not my audience. I know that that's not who I'm going for. I'm going for people who want to watch a D&D show. Authenticity, exactly, Neela. You want to be you because actually, not only do you want to be you for like personal mental health reasons, but for actual growth reasons. Being you is going to attract the people who are going to stick around and watch your stuff, buy your stuff, check you out, and they're going to love it. They're going to stick around for it. Otherwise, if you try to be someone else, try to be PewDiePie or whatever, you're not going to be able to be as good of a PewDiePie as PewDiePie is, so they're just going to go watch PewDiePie anyway. So, fuck the rest, right? You want to be you for a multitude of reasons, and there's a very statistical, like a real numbers reason for that. And that also brings me to, I feel like this is all building very well, much better than my messy notes have told me. But you want to, you need to know your audience, right? You need to know who is actually going to be those people that are going to be into your stuff. So, for example, if you're a dice maker, your audience is people who play tabletop games and want really cool sets of dice. But even within that, there's a lot of different types of dice makers, right? So you've got Modern Artifice, who makes very nice, solid, affordable dice, which is great. And I think that if you want a set of dice, go check out Modern Artifice, Modern Artificer, Modern Artifice, one of the two. Great dice for a great price. But there's also like a lot of like very artisanal dice makers out there who like, you'll spend $100 on a set of dice or $200 on a set of dice. And so they're not trying to appeal to everybody, right? They're trying to appeal to a very specific type of player who is looking for like a really finely crafted, beautiful like art piece set of dice versus like an introductory D&D player who's just looking for a set to like feel good about and that they can use every week and it's fine. But those are, you need to know who your audience is and then act accordingly. So here's like a weird kind of like a offbeat example for me and my Twitch and my Twitter. You can see on the Tainomaki Twitter right in the bio, BLM, ACAB, no turfs, no swerfs, right up top. Because I don't want any of those people in my audience right away. I know who I'm going for. I want kind people who have the same values as me and value human life and human rights. And maybe that doesn't have as much to do with my product or project, but if I'm telling a story and I have certain values are going to bleed through the storytelling, right? And they're going to be leftist values. Like that is what it's going to be. So I don't need to go for conservative people because I mean, also they tip bad, so like I don't. It's like even for business reasons, it's probably not a good idea. Does that make sense? Yeah, you want to make sure that you figure out who your audience is and go for it. So if you're making homebrew adventure hooks, then then you want to go for people who are looking for adventure modules, right? Me personally, I I don't buy adventure modules. I don't find them useful for myself. I like making my own stories, my own plot hooks. But what I do love, I love custom subclasses, magic items, options. So I got Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, and I freaking love it. But I'm not going to read whatever books are out there about like a campaign. You have to think about like if you're writing an adventure module, you don't have to try to convince me to buy your adventure module because you're probably not going to be able to do it. What you want to do is appeal to someone who buys adventure modules, someone who buys those things. Does that make sense? And if I make custom subclasses, I haven't talked about custom subclasses yet, but like me personally, that's what I love getting, and so I know what someone like me is looking for. So I make custom subclasses and then I release them, and I think about who's going to be the type of person who likes custom subclasses. If I'm not going to try to convince someone who wants to play the classes like by the book and isn't interested in different stuff, like if that's not my audience, I don't have to convince them to buy my thing, right? I need to convince someone like me. I think that's one of like the misnomers when you first start selling. It's like, oh, I want to sell to as many people as possible. You only need to convert 2% of people to be making money in the scaled up digital marketing business. And if you try to water it down, then neither people are going to like it. If like I make something that's trying to appeal to someone who doesn't give a shit about custom subclasses, then the people who do like custom subclasses are going to see my thing like, that's not exciting to me because it's like not even what I want, right? Or if you make an adventure module that's, oh, thank you, I'll just cast for the follow. You make an adventure module that's trying to appeal to people who like the nuts and bolts and the grit and the crunchiness, then the people who want the adventure module are also not going to like it. So if you try to please, there's that old adage, and it's so true. If you try to please everybody, you're going to please nobody, right? So like think of it as like if you went to a restaurant, family style, and you have to decide on um, you know spicy level. So you have someone there who wants something really really spicy, and someone who wants something that's not spicy at all. You meet in the middle. Actually, nobody's happy because it's not spicy enough for this person, and it's too spicy for this other person. And so you've accomplished nothing actually. So know your audience, know yourself, what you want to bring to the table, the unique problems you want to solve, and the way your project solves them. You want to make sure you keep that in mind. There's a lot of temptation to like be like other successful creators out there, and I'll say I've also felt that I'm actually not, I'm not a huge account by any stretch of the imagination. I don't even have a show out yet, but like in our digital marketing world, these are the things that you want to make sure that yours is the only solution that someone in your audience needs and is going to go for. Does that make sense? Okay, so I'm going to go over some free techniques for building your presence or whatever. I'm not a social media manager, so like this is not super good. Yeah, go ahead and ask a question, Captain Invictus. But there are things that I've been doing and I've seen other small creators do to grow incredibly fast. And you want to be really active. You want to reach out, make friends with people, compliment people on Twitter, and watch their content, compliment them, show up to streams, do all that stuff. I think that's actually been the most helpful thing. And actually, you'll feel really good because you're joining a community of people who will want to watch your stuff. But when I joined, when I made my Twitter, I for this project, I think I had maybe 27 or 30 followers on Twitch. And now I've been making friends, and now I've got 72, which is, that's over double in 2 weeks, which is pretty fantastic. one-stop shop Patreon where I partner with my map making friend and artist. Okay. Patreon where it wasn't just maps but also subclasses, monsters, and items. So basically, you guys want to provide like a full source book almost even, which I think. So let me be clear. The example I gave about the subclasses and the maps and whatever, like that was just an example. I don't think that's too much because unless if you know that there are people out there who want a one-stop shop, I think that is great, and I think you should go for those people. That's kind of more my point than like focusing on one thing. It's really more about like knowing your audience, knowing knowing what you are offering, and then going for that person. So the examples I gave were just examples, just to illustrate. In your case, I think that if you want to do that, you should absolutely do that. But you should be sure that you can go for that person. Don't go for someone like me who's only interested in subclasses. That makes sense, Captain Invictus. Like if you try to target me, there's a bunch of stuff there that I'm not going to want to pay for, so I'm probably not going to subscribe. But I'm sure there's plenty of people who new DMs who are looking for cool new stuff for their players, or old DMs who just want to buy one, like pay one time and get the whole thing, then that's a great thing. Will you call your crush and say that I love you if I donate you $100? No, because this is not a just any old stream. I'm doing a very specific topic. But thanks for dropping by, I guess. Next, Captain Invictus, does that answer your question? I don't think it's doing too much, but the point is that you need to know who you're going for. Think about one person who fits that, who will want all of that in a Patreon, and target them. Don't target someone who's only looking for little things here and there. So free techniques. You want to be able to. You want to be supportive. You want to show up to people's stuff. You want to. Exactly, Dungeon Glitch has it right. Build your customer avatar. Define your ideal customer as a singular person, and then sell to that person directly. Dungeon Glitch, you're great. So free techniques: show up, support each other, consume their content, and tell them how much you enjoyed it. You can even offer feedback, but not like unsolicited. Be like, hey, would you be open to feedback on this? And a lot of people are very open in our community, at least. I've even reached out and asked for feedback, and that's one way to do things too. So you can ask someone for feedback. I did this with Quinn, the GM, last night. I have a weird sorcerer subclass I'm basing on Shedinja from Pokemon, and it's really bad, but I was like, this is kind of fun, and so I sent them my thing, and they gave me some feedback, it was great, and then they asked for feedback on one of their things, and so I gave feedback on that. So that's one way to build relationships and also make your content better and your everything better. Attending streams, all the stuff, promoting each other, which is something our little corner of the TTRPG community is very good at. So I think we're doing a lot of things right in that case. It's very much a case of like a rising tide raises all ships. What I will say is now there's also, obviously also like the guidelines and the general principles that I gave out are free as well to do when you're creating your posts. There are also paid techniques that you can do, and I know not everybody's in a position, probably very few people are actually making any money off of the hobby, but they're just trying to grow their accounts. If you have some cash to spend towards marketing costs, there's a few ways that you can use that to maximum effect. A lot of people already do this. There's giveaways. I feel like there's a giveaway always going on in our community, which is great, and you can sign up and do all the things. To make your giveaway posts the best they can be, you want to follow the guidelines we covered earlier. You want to give people a very specific action to do and tell them exactly what they need to do to enter. You need to be very, very clear. For example, I had for the Modern Artifice dice giveaway, first thing, you have to be following me and Modern Artifice, right? I was using the giveaway in order to get new followers and grow my audience, right? So my very first thing needs to be focused on that. Okay, all right. Good questions. Dungeon Glitch, any specific tips for that platform? I'm hoping to bring value to the community, but I do have that anxiety of being annoying. Well, I have just started out too on Twitter. And so I'll say, honestly, whenever someone puts up a post and asks you to promote yourself, which happens all the time, go ahead and post because they are giving you explicit permission to talk about yourself without feeling any judgment or anxiety about that. I'll also say, I don't know if you're part of Hope for TTRPG's Discord, but first of all, follow Hope for TTRPGs on Twitter. They're fantastic. And then they have a Discord that we're all kind of, all the creators are together supporting each other, and we put our like going live announcements in there. I think that's a good place to like get to know people that's not in like, doesn't feel as public as Twitter, right? And there's, I don't have any specific tips for Twitter. This is the most followers I've ever had on Twitter, and it's like it's not even 400. So I'm not a great person to ask for that, but I would say just go for it. I don't know that's not helpful for people with anxiety, but there's a lot of posts where people actively invite you to post, and everyone's trying to help each other. So everyone is super nice. I haven't met any like really bad people, so go ahead and go for it. Okay, Eldritch Cast. Do you think that commissioning artwork is a cost-effective way to get eyes on your Twitter for a podcast? Well, I know that the Role Players Guild is doing a giveaway for a commissioned art piece for someone's character. They partnered with an artist, and the giveaway is like a flat bust, which is about $15 or $25 from that artist. You can ask them if that was effective. I think it's a cool idea. I just don't know personally. Like generally speaking, it sounds like it's worth trying because you are targeting people who are into D&D, who have a character they want drawn, and they probably already listen to a ton of podcasts of D&D, and they probably want to, if yours is cool, they'll listen to yours too. So I would go talk to a Role Players Guild / Bye, Neela. Thank you so much for coming. Appreciate you so much. Getting art commissioned to post on our Twitter. Oh, so like hoping that like a cool picture will get a lot of retweets and then people will come to your thing. If the post has a call to action, like a specific call to action of like, maybe you commission a piece of one of your characters holding a sign that says, listen to the Eldritch Cast, check out the Eldritch Cast at URL, follow at the Eldritch Cast, maybe. I don't know if it's cost effective if you're going to commission an artist to, because like art isn't cheap necessarily. So what you could do is you could try, if anybody on the team has some sort of artistic talent, I would say try it out before you pay money for it, right? You can see like, all right, we drew a character, we tried to make it look pretty nice, and then have the little message on there of what people should do. But generally speaking, I don't know how that connects to, like, there's a lot more steps between that post and people listening to your podcast, right? And that's another principle. You want to make things as easy as possible for someone. There should be as few clicks as possible, because every time you have another click, you're losing more and more people. And you want to make sure that, so not only are you being very clear about what you're asking someone to do, but also it should be very simple and very fast. So it should be super easy to get to whatever it is. So for example, like if I'm talking about my Twitch stream, I am always putting the link to my Twitch in that post. No one's going to go back to my profile and try to find the link. I don't care how much they like me. I don't care how much they're, into what I'm doing. It's very unlikely that they're going to stop and go look around for my link. So I put the link every time I'm asking someone to come to my stream or asking someone to follow my stream. Does that make sense? So there's that one click, and then they're where they need to be. I think artwork, because like what you're trying to do is you're trying to get traffic, right? You're trying to get traffic to your Twitter page so that people will check you out. So that was actually the next thing I was going to talk about for paid options for your if you have money laying around. So you can do giveaways. I think giveaways are far more effective than just getting artwork that you hope somebody will check out your page. But what you can do is very small, basic ad buys. All the social media outlets make their money based on ads. And if you have a certain account with someone, I think you could just probably do it. You can promote your tweet or your Instagram post or whatever it is, and depending on how much you pay, they'll show it to certain amounts of people. Yeah. So what I would do, so what I'm considering doing for my next giveaway is I'll have the giveaway as normal, and I'm considering throwing some money at Twitter to boost that post so more people see it. That way I can get more followers, more eyes on my stuff, because really the giveaway is about getting people in the door, right? It's just to get people's attention. It's a benefit, right? There's a reason everybody does giveaways because they're effective, right? You're getting people in the door who are into the same hobby as you, and you're hoping that once they followed you, they don't unfollow after the giveaway, and that they also stick around and see why you're so great. And typically they do, and that's the kind of philosophy behind the giveaway, because it's offering them a benefit in return for what you're giving them, in return for like calling you out. Snyder's return. Thanks for the follow. Good to see you. But so you could double the effectiveness, or double is figurative, but you can increase the effectiveness of a giveaway since you're already spending money on an artist or a dice maker. Hopefully, you're paying your people who you're partnering with. You can throw in a little extra money and boost it as an ad, and see if it helps. I would say the big thing with once you get money involved with paying for ad spots, you want to make sure that, because it can get pretty expensive pretty quick. I think my company at the, when we're really churning, like at top performance, and we've got something that's really working, it's like $10 million a month just to buy ad spaces. And it's worth it because when you have something that's working, you want to get it out as far as possible. For us, where this is not our job, we're not getting paid for it, I might consider putting $10 into an ad buy, seeing if that boosts the results of your giveaway, see if it gets you more followers, and you have to decide for yourself once you see the results, like, okay, I spent $10 and I got 10 followers more. Not a lot, an example. And the way you would do that calculation is, okay, well, it cost me $1 per follower, which is expensive, right? Especially if you're not making any money off of it. If you're making money off of it, then you can decide like, okay, there's tracking tech and software for this if you're doing actual digital marketing, where you can see like, okay, I spent $10, I spent $1 per person, and then I can also see how much money I've made per person. So if you're able to make that back, which is hard, it's very hard to do, and every digital marketer wants to do this, where if I've paid $1 to acquire a customer, and if I even make $1 back, just break even, that is, you're in heaven, because you can just keep spending money and you're going to make it back, and then you have all these customers forever that you can keep selling to. So for me, I have my other toxicologies letter project, which has nothing to do with TTRPG, just me writing a monthly letter. I've been doing it for about 3 years now. But in the beginning, to grow my list, this was back when a lot of Instagram like micro influencers were doing like paid story shoutouts, and so I was starting to um, pay money. Right. Okay, that's a nasty person. Okay, I cool. My first terrible message on Twitch, which honestly makes me feel like I'm growing, which is wow. Hi. Um, anyway, you oh yes, first figure out how to monetize it if you're planning on scaling ads for the return on interest. Return on. I'm trying to make the best of a very like disturbing message. So yes, you want to make sure that your return on investment, yeah, is worth it. But here, I'll give you an example of my other project where I was, I just want to get more people to sign up for this newsletter that I was doing monthly. It was free. I wasn't making any money off of it. I'm still not making any money off of it. And I really wasn't planning on doing that. So I had to decide for myself what was an acceptable ROI, or like we call it CPA, cost per acquisition. I paid, usually I would go to an account that had like 100K followers. I paid them $10 for a 24-hour story shout out, and I made sure that they included a very specific call to action and a very specific language around how to click the link. And then I actually got a lot of followers that way. Back then I would pay $10 per 100K followers that someone had. So if they had 300,000 followers, I would pay them $30. And over time, I think my calculation came out to like 25 cents per sign up, which to me was worth it because now I have like about almost 1,000 readers on that thing. A lot of people unsubscribe over the years. I had 1,000 at one point and then people unsubscribe. But for me, 25 cents a reader was great because I wasn't making money off of that. And now, if you send something out and the CPA is terrible, if you're paying $1 per name or whatever, or you end up paying $1 per name, doesn't mean that you have to stop doing marketing. It just means whatever post you boosted was the wrong post. It didn't work. So you can try something else. This kind of works better if you have a specific thing you want someone to do, like buy your dice, or download your podcast. You want the ad to have a very specific call to action. I keep harping that, but it's so important. So I even did I think one time Facebook gave out like $5 of ad buying or $15 of ad buying to small businesses. So I used that money and forgot what I was saying. Wow, just thought completely slipped my mind. Oh yeah, so you want so I used that money and I had a very specific like sign up for the newsletter, right? They click the link and they would go to the sign up page. And it wasn't as cost effective as paying micro influencers directly, but they gave me free money, so I was going to use it. That's sort of more advanced stuff and not necessary to grow your account. Of course, there's plenty of people who grow to huge heights without spending any money. I will say if you want a model to follow for effective digital marketing in our space, in the TTRPG space, the tabletop game shop has the best marketing of anyone I've seen in the space. I think their copy is great, their strategies are great, their subject lines are great. So I'm actually going to put that. I think it's probably the tabletopgameshop.com too, but I checked for their Twitter. They don't really do a lot on Twitter, it looks like, but their email, and that brings me to email marketing. Their email marketing is fantastic. and also their offers are really good. So they'll have like whoever does their marketing is knows their stuff, is actually even better than is definitely better than me at marketing. It'd be cool to find their marketing person and have them on here, but I think I found them because of like an Instagram ad or something that they had paid to get in front of me. I clicked it and they had a fantastic deal, and they had all sorts of really great copy to push me through the process. And now they have me on their email list, and they do sales, they do uh, lots of cool stuff. And you can tell like that the people there, like they play tabletop games. It's not like a corporation who like just tries to sell you something and they have no idea what the hobby is really like. That these people really know what, like it feels like they are another player and they're just selling some dice and tabletop accessories. Really great stuff. If you want to learn more about marketing just by seeing it in action, just sign up for their email list. You don't have to buy anything. This is not a paid thing. I just really like their marketing a lot. And yeah, so I think that's if you want to get an email list going. I saw someone on Twitter ask about email. That's a whole other type of marketing that you can do. Of course, the thing is, how do I get someone to sign up for my newsletter? I get someone to give me their email address, which usually isn't hard. You can usually give them something free. I could, like, if I wanted to do something, I would give away a free subclass if you signed up for the newsletter. Then have to then you have to provide value in the newsletter, because otherwise someone will just unsubscribe, right? Think about it from your perspective. Sign up for an email list. I can't tell you how many I've unsubscribed from because it's just people trying to sell me stuff, right? But if you can do like, if you already have a blog, or if you already have like articles that you've written or that you are writing, what you can do is you drop those into the email, because not everybody's going to go to your blog to read it, right? You send it directly to their email address, and you do that, and then once in a while you send them something for what you're selling. That way it's sort of like an equal relationship, because you're providing value to them, and then you get to, every once in a while you get to sell something to them, or at least try to sell something. That makes sense. After the stream, if anybody has questions about email marketing and how to write copy for email, I could do that. I have a lot of experience with writing. I've probably written thousands of emails, sales emails. And if you have the budget, you could hire me, but I'm pretty expensive. But if you want to just learn by seeing, Tabletop Game Shop absolutely has the best email marketing in the business. And email can be really, really lucrative. You can get a very high ROI on email. Once you have someone's email address, it statistically, or the research shows that email is a very high return on your investment. I think that's everything I had for like the basics of digital marketing and self-promotion. Anybody else have any questions? Those are really good questions that people had in the chat. I might do more of these if there's like a specific topic that people want to learn more about. Again, I'm not a social media manager or social media marketer, so I don't have exact tips for platforms. I know a little bit about it, but mostly if you're going to be doing, like, from a company's perspective, tabletop, social media is more of a paid thing. You want to be able to pay for ad space. We were thinking about changing our name to reflect our content better. What do you think the role of a name should be in this sphere? And Django Games, I'll get to you right after this. What I mean, if it's got a podcast name, right? I think a name should immediately communicate what you're offering. So I see the Eldritch Cast and I think, oh, that's gotta be a cool podcast, right? Like, it's gotta be a D&D podcast. I think that name is pretty good, actually. But if you're doing other stuff that you want to be clear, then not an effective name. It really depends. I don't think it's that important as long as you're doing putting out stuff and people like your stuff. I think that's more important, especially in this space. I'm trying to think of think about like the Adventure Zone. I don't know if that's a podcast or not. I don't know what that is. But what they had going for them is that they had already built an audience and then were selling to the people they already had on their list. They weren't selling, but they convinced people who they already had a relationship with to do that. And then the podcast that they came from was My Brother, and Me, which you don't know. I don't know if that's a podcast. It could be anything. I at this point, like if you've made relationships with people in your I mean, I don't think that's important. I think it's just it's a cool name. Eldritch is a cool ass word, one of my favorite words. And what it does communicate is that you're a D&D podcast, which is all you need to communicate. You can communicate once people are in and on your page, you can communicate your vibes and your values and all the stuff once they're there. But I don't think as someone who loves the word Eldritch, I have never had that. It never occurred to me that you weren't Eldritch enough. I think that's too specific of a concern. I think you're great. I think you're fine. Django Games just tuned in, so I might have missed any ideas on how to reach a wider D&D audience. Right now, I feel like my socials only go out to other creators. Okay, so what you can do, if you have the budget for it, is we slightly covered, do a giveaway and then pay a little extra money to boost the giveaway post. Or maybe it's against terms of service, I don't know, but that's a way to get it out farther. However, I don't think it's a problem. I'll say this. I don't think it's a problem that it's only going out to other creators because we're all tiny creators who are actually consumers of content for much longer than we've been creators, right? We actually, especially if you're going for okay, what do you do, Django? Like, is it are you a podcast? Are you creating homebrew stuff? What is what do you do? You publish on DM's Guild. Okay, so going out to other creators is actually fantastic because a lot of us are DMs and GMs, right? And so you're actually going out to exactly who you need to be going to. That people that want to use your stuff for their own games. I think far more of the people that I've followed in this little corner of the community, more people are like forever GMs than players. So you can I think you're in the right place. Just keep doing what you're doing and grow and talk to other people and establish relationships in the space. And then you'll be able to eventually, I assume, will grow out to other non-creators. But I think you're in a good spot. I don't think typically it's going to be the DM that says, hey, I found this really cool subclass. I'll let you use it if you want, right? Probably rare that a player finds one, buys it, and goes, hey, can I use this? Because they don't know if their DM's going to be able to let them use it. Yeah, I think you're in a good spot. Sorry, my throat is Dungeon Glitch, a favorite moment I've had in my brand journey so far. Honestly, I've just been meeting really cool people, and everyone's been way nicer than I thought. Because D&D fandom doesn't have the best reputation, if we're being honest. But there's a lot of other people in the community that aren't just D&D players, or their own other TTRPG spaces, and everyone's been so nice. I've made so many new friends, I can't keep them straight right now. So that's been my favorite part so far. And for the Vic, hey, thanks for the stream. It's so good. Thank you for coming. I appreciate it. I think you were the first one here, so thanks for sticking it out. Do you have an opinion about advertising as a persona versus as a company? Any option preferable over the other in your vision? I think personally, I think for the group that we're in, I think advertising as a person is better because you're in this stage. It's a lot about networking and connecting with other people who are also solo creators. And I think being a person is fine. And if you grow a lot, then being a person is also better because then I'm going to feel connected to you as a person and want to check your stuff out more, right? If you've got a podcast or if you've got whatever, especially if you have a story-based thing, you want people to connect with you as a person rather than a company, right? That's my opinion. I think there's probably, I'll give you an example, like the Tabletop Game Shop. They have a company, but the emails always come from Eric the DM. So it's trying to be personal, even though they have a brand, the tabletopgameshop.com. So I think personal is always better, especially on the internet these days. Nobody wants to be talked at by a company. Like if I know there's a person behind it, then I'm a little more likely to listen to them. Captain Invictus, since I got on Twitter and advertising my content, I bought more things on DM's Guild than I did in a year plus one of DMing. Yeah, I think it's more of the DMs. And had the same concerns. Well, I'm glad that we were wrong about our concerns. I'd be advertising as a persona rather than a company if I didn't care about keeping my. Well, Django, I would keep a personal Twitter. Like I have a personal Twitter that is for me. I think having a work-life balance, even though this is technically a hobby, it's still like a lot of work, especially if you're trying to grow as a creator. I think it's very important to have that distinction because yeah, I have my personal Twitter where I do whatever, I talk about whatever I want, and then Titanomachy Twitter is I can talk about as much TTRPG stuff as I want, but sometimes I don't want to talk about it, and I'll go to my other page, and I think that's perfect. I think it's almost necessary in a lot of ways. You need to take care of yourself as a person first, or else you're not going to get anywhere. Dicely D&D, I run a YouTube channel that I've geared towards new D&D players. It has a series for that. But the main thing recently has been my podcast housed as part of that channel. But I create other socials for the podcast specifically. I think it might be fine to keep things compact using Dicely D&D socials to also promote the associated podcast. So I do want to preface this again that I'm not a social media manager. So this would be a question for someone like that. But I will give my input as someone who's also like making stuff online. My opinion is that it's fine to do just the one thing. I think a lot of people in our community are very motivated and very smart and very hardworking, and we want to do everything as much as we can. We want to just do all of it, right? But you don't have to do all of it. You can just for now, before you're making money off of it, or before you're really getting going with a lot of subscribers and stuff, just focus in on doing the one thing really well, and the socials can be for the whole brand, the whole package of stuff that you're providing. Videos for new GMs, podcasts and stuff. Yeah, you can own them, and you can go do that. But I don't think it's a bad thing to have like a YouTube channel that has new advice for new DMs, and then also has your podcast recordings there. I think that's perfectly fine. I don't think that's, unless they're very, very different. Like if it was like non-TTRPG stuff, I would say make a separate thing. But since it's all kind of like in the same realm and towards a similar audience, I think it's fine to keep it in one. And then if it changes later on, you can always branch out later and do that when you have more people on the team. Like, don't overextend yourself. You guys are just like, we're all just people, and this is for fun, right? And if even if you're trying to make it like a career, like take care of yourself, rest, productivity is not the most important thing. The most important thing is that you're happy and healthy. It's absolutely more important than having a lot of followers or whatever. If you watch like interviews with big streamers, they're stressed out all the time and they're super famous, but they're like extremely, like, a lot of them are very unhappy because they don't know how to take a rest. So go ahead and be good to yourself, be kind to yourself. Yeah, it makes sense. Always been 20 minutes because I feel companies inspire a certain air of professionality. Yeah, I mean, it's probably, you're probably both ways are fine. I just don't, in our community, it seems like I connect more with people than brands. And I think our generation also, I don't know how old you are, but I think, people who aren't necessarily, people under like 50 probably connect more to people than brands. It's really up to you, but I think the personal touch is better. Thanks, appreciate the feedback. Thank you, this has been very helpful. Oh yeah, of course. Thanks. Thanks for the questions. You guys have very good questions, and I'm happy to give my opinion. I'll say it's an informed opinion, but it's not like an expert opinion. If that makes sense. So, because I do work very closely with marketers and I do come up with marketing strategy, but I'm not like a social media marketer. But those are my opinions, and I think they're informed opinions and are worth incorporating into your decision-making process. Okay, does anybody else have any questions? I'm gonna leave the VOD up. It should be up after this. I'm gonna try to upload this to YouTube. It'll be the first video on our YouTube channel. So I'll try to post it on Twitter when it's up, and then you guys can share it and go back and watch it whenever you want. Gotcha. Thanks, Eldritch Cast. Yeah, of course, it's been great. Maybe we'll do more. Maybe that's maybe that'll be my USP, is helping other TTRPG creators boost their reach and tighten up and optimize their marketing. But yeah, I'll see you guys again soon. I might stream again, in the next few days. I finally got a gaming PC, so maybe I'll do that. We can just chat. You can ask more questions there too. If you're watching on YouTube, go follow twitch.tv/AlexKBW. Subscribe, like, hit that notification bell for new whatever people say. And I'll catch you guys on Twitter. I've got a ton of notifications. Thanks, everyone. Bye.